Hey guys, welcome to the Cosmic Awards 2023, where we're going to be discussing our favorite comics from this past year. Um, yeah, we got a bunch of categories for you guys. We have a lot of comics to discuss, so let's hop right into it with our first category.
Well, hold on. I just want to say this has been a great year for comics. There's been a lot of really good stuff. Indie, Marvel, DC, plenty of amazing stuff to read. If you people are saying there's nothing good to read anymore, you're not looking hard enough, you're not looking far enough. There's
Yeah,
plenty of good books to pick up, and we're going to talk about some right now. Sorry, go ahead.
starting off first, we're going to be starting off with our favorite one shot from this year. Best one shot. Let's begin. Elias, what is your best one shot?
Best one shot of 2023 has to go to the X-Men Hellfire Gala of this year, a blockbuster, mega sized issue that single handedly reinvested me in the X Men line. Um, I think this is, a big event every year, but this was the most edge of your seat, most captivating edition of it. Obviously, if you guys have been following the X Men stuff, you know that Orcus has been plotting for a long time, and they wanted to use this year's Hellfire Gala to strike. Um, and it was, as Jerry Duggan put it, it was beautiful carnage. Um, a lot of fucked up shit happens, but it gets you invested in the characters and it gets you invested in the future of the characters. And to have this, launch a whole line of miniseries, um, I think it does a good job.
Yeah, no, it was a phenomenal one shot. Um, and for me, my favorite one shot, the best one shot for me, was Batman One Bad Day, Clayface #1. Um, a haunting tale about the terrors of acting, and learning about one's ability to handle criticism. It is a scary, scary story, but not due to any horror, but due to the fact that Clayface himself is slowly losing it, and you can feel it with every single jump from perspective that Clayface is slowly losing who he himself is. And I still think the final two pages are some of the most haunting that I've ever seen for a Batman villain. A wonderful story, truly, truly creepy, and yeah, no, made me feel pretty awful for Clayface, while at the same time still despising him just as much, if not more, than before.
Next category that we have is best single issue. So the best issue doesn't have to be a one shot, but just best single issue that we think did a stellar job in its run. Something that really defined itself amongst the flock. Lucas, what was your pick for best single issue?
So my pick was Ice Cream Man #37. This issue was heartbreaking. Um, it is basically a man who committed suicide, who was an artist for this series called The Figgly Bumps, and it is a mix between a war story and this cutesy animal puppy um, cartoon, and it catches the horror of war, conveys it in such a heart wrenching way while still not showing any gore, not showing any actual realism, but just all the implied um, things within the story just really makes you just contemplate, why do we go to war? Why do we do these things? Why do we send people to their deaths? And Ice Cream Man, if you had told me that that book would have made me contemplate the reasons for war, I would have laughed in your face a couple years ago. But man, um, funny, but also heartbreaking. This is my favorite issue of the year.
Very nice. This is the most recent issue of Ice Cream Man, right?
Yeah, no, I was completely blown away. I cried probably two times reading
Wow,
it,
very
which
nice.
is insane. And the cool thing about Ice Cream Man, especially with this issue, you can read it without any previous context. You don't need to read the last 36 issues. It's a one shot. You read it, and it's so good.
Right. Well, that's good to know. I
Yeah.
definitely will check it out then.
And what about you?
Best single issue for me this year was Swan Song's #1. A beautiful, sad tale. A beautiful series also by W. Maxwell Prince, funnily enough. But yeah, art by Martin Simmons on this issue. Um, yes, it sets the tone for the rest of the series, but I think just by itself, standalone, it's a really amazing story about the end of the world and um, a son trying to make his mother's last moments the best that they can be in a dire circumstance. And yeah, beautiful story both in writing and in art. And yeah, really captured me. Definitely recommend this issue. Again, another standalone issue that you can just read by itself and you can enjoy it all the same. So yeah, best issue of this year for me.
Yeah. Our next category is going to be best new comic. Best new comic is a comic that is released within this past like 6 months. Um, but yeah, Elias, what is your best new comic?
My best new comic has to go to Rare Flavors from Boom Studios, Ram V, and Felipe Andrade, a beautiful dream team, and a refreshing indie book that, yeah, really is unlike any comic I've ever read before. To be honest, it combines a lot of my love of art, my love of food, and puts them all on the page right in front of you beautifully. The art is awesome. The concept of putting a recipe in every issue is awesome, and the characters are multi-layered and very interesting. So, yeah, I'm loving this series so far, and I hope it continues.
Yeah, no, it has been great. Um, and for me, best new comic for me has to be Universal Monsters Dracula. Martin Simmons' art and James Tynion DeFort's writing really just comes together in an amazing way on this comic. They're a dream team for me, but having them draw Dracula and all the surrounding characters within the original mythos, Renfield and all of them, has been phenomenal. Um, the art alone is worth it, but also the story is really intriguing, and we get to basically revisit the classic tale of Dracula within this new art style and new medium.
An excellent pick, no doubt. Our next category is going to be best ongoing comic. So, a comic that's been running throughout this year and will keep running for the foreseeable future. Lucas, what was your pick for this category?
Yeah, so my pick was Knights. Um, it's only 3 issues in, but man, has this series completely blown me away. Few series have captured me just like they have. Um, the main characters are fun. The dialogue feels natural. The story is compelling. It's insane just how well written everything feels for a new artist like Wyatt Kennedy and Luigi Formizano as the artist. They don't have many behind under their belt of projects, so this really feels like two new people coming in and really showing off what they got. And yeah, no, everything about this has been so good. I've really been loving this, and I really can't wait to keep reading.
Excellent pick.
And what about you, Elias?
My best ongoing comic of this year goes to no one's surprise, Batman Superman World's Finest. This is a comic that is, if nothing else, consistent. Mark Waid clearly loves these characters, does his research, has a lot of building to do upon these characters' history. And I really don't think that there's a weak issue of this. I think, everything fits into the universe and everything is consistent and moves the characters. It's all about character development. It's all about moving things forward. So, yeah, best ongoing comic definitely has to go to these guys.
Yeah. Now, for best completed series, Elias, what is your best completed series for this year?
My best completed series has to go to Riddler Year One, Paul Dano and Stevan Subic. Um, just working hand in hand here beautifully. You could tell that they both really cared about this character. Um, yeah, only 6 issues is the perfect prequel setup for the Batman movie. really gives you the backstory that you want to hear about the Riddler. And I think it perfectly tees up the movie, goes right up to the point of where the movie begins. And yeah, beautifully done. Art is amazing, abstract, um, and yet emotional, and yet, you know, compelling. So yeah, Riddler Year One, no doubt.
Yeah. So my pick would be Chroma, um, with Image Comics and Skybound. Lorenzo De Felici is was drawing and writing this, and it's only 4 issues, but man, does it pack a wallop! This series was phenomenal. Um, Everything about this book was heartbreaking, beautiful, beautifully drawn, beautifully colored. This series makes me wish I could travel into this world and give Chroma, the main character, a hug. Um, but yeah, no, this is probably one of my favorite series from this past year. This has stood out, and I can't wait to keep rereading it over and over and over again.
Yeah, most definitely a great pick. All right, that brings us to our next category, which is best first issue. Best first issue of 2023. Lucas, what was your pick?
For me, it's a issue that you already touched on before, but Swan Song's number 1. W. Maxwell Prince, Martin Simmons, a duo that really stood out with that first banger issue. Really set the tone for the series, where dystopic, but can range from anything. We don't have to necessarily focus on the dystopic part, but more on the personal character aspects. And this first issue really shows that, with that son going out, traveling all throughout this broken city just to get a book, a magazine about flowers for his mother before she passes. And yeah, no, wonderful story, beautifully drawn, beautifully written. One of the best first issues I've ever read.
Very nice. For me, the best first issue of this year was actually God's Number One by Jonathan Hickman and Valerio Schiti. I think this is what you want from a first issue, especially when it comes to a brand new series. You want something that's going to compel the reader to keep reading, and you want to introduce a lot of concepts, but not too many. I think this builds upon existing Marvel characters that we already know and love, like Doctor Strange, um, like Reed Richards, like all these big powerhouses in the Marvel Universe. And it sets up these new characters and is like, these characters are on par with those characters that you already know. So you already know you got to take them seriously. It is a big issue, it's a large issue, a lot of pages. I think this does a good job of making you interested in a new slew of characters, um, and gives you a lot of action, gives you a lot to think about. And for me, it was enough to get me invested in the rest of the series. Needless to say, I think this art is very sleek and perfect for this series. And yeah, I think this does what a first issue should do.
Yeah, no, very, very good choice. Um, Next up, for our next category, we have the category of best event. Nina and I are both in agreement with the event that we have chosen for the best event of the year, which is Sins of
Death of
Sinister.
Venomverse. No, Sins of
um,
Sinister.
yeah, Sins of Sinister, phenomenal. Reading that every week was so intriguing. Having every 3 issues have a break and then a 10, 10 times time jump was super unique, super interesting, and it always made you interested on what's going to happen next. Even if one series faltered, you always had the next issue for another series to pick it up and recover.
And the only other nominees for this category would have been Night Terrors and Death of Venomverse, and we all know how we feel about those events.
Yeah. So,
So while it didn't have much
well,
competition,
also Gang War, man. Don't forget about Gang War.
while it didn't have much competition, Sins of Sinister was definitely the most compelling,
Wait, was Dark
most
Web this
interesting
year?
event. Uh, maybe like it finished this year. I
Oh
don't know.
yeah,
I don't know.
whatever.
But yeah, taking Mr. Sinister to his extreme. I think that's what this event does, and really shows you that he is not to be trifled with. So yeah, very enjoyable event.
Yeah, wonderful.
That will bring us to our next category, which is going to be Best Writer of 2023. Who do we think really stood out and had a great year? Lucas, what was your pick?
For me, it has to go to W. Maxwell Prince. Um, Phenomenal writer, from Swan Songs to Ice Cream Man to any other book that he popped in on just as a guest writer. He always brought his A game. He always brought his best material. He always knew how to make you care about these characters, whether you knew them or not. And yeah, no, he is one of my favorite indie writers. He has, as far as I know, not touched any of the superhero genre, actually superhero genre. But honestly, he doesn't even need to because he is just that good. He continues to handle these new stories and these new characters that he makes himself with such finesse.
An excellent pick for sure.
And what about you, Elias?
For me, best writer of this year has to go to Ram V. My love for Ram has been growing as he writes more and more. Obviously, I loved his Swamp Thing run, but that ended last year. But this year, I think he really showed that he can do it all. He can do a book like Vigil, which gives us brand new superheroes, brand new characters that have really interesting power sets, work really well as a team, and really just are intriguing. And he can give us something way out of left field, like Rare Flavors, at the same time. Um, so yeah, he is becoming increasingly versatile to me, and always has some interesting concept, no matter what he's doing. That I think I'll always check out.
Yeah, no, phenomenal choice also. Next up, we have Best Artist of 2023. Elias, what is your pick?
My best artist is a Marvel Stormbreaker, and that is Martin Cocolo. Obviously, he is the interior artist on Immortal Thor, but he is a while he is a newer artist to Marvel, I think he shows incredible technique, line work, grittiness, shading. The list goes on. He really blew me away with his work on Immortal Thor, especially when it came to Taurenos and the different shades of black. Um, really amazing, stuff that makes you think about a color you don't think about a lot. There's different shades of black on the page, but not only that, he clearly, gives depth to a character like that, when otherwise they would be lost on the page. But yeah, a newer artist that really has blown me away with their work, and I hope to see them on much more stuff.
Yeah, no, phenomenal artist. Really captures the timeless qualities of Thor and the rest of the Asgardians in a stunning way. And yeah, I can't wait to keep seeing their art.
What was your pick for this category?
My pick has to go to Martin Simmons, man. His abstract art. I've loved his art since Department of Truth since I read that, but this year he has absolutely killed it. Swan Songs was amazing. Universal Monsters Dracula was phenomenal. Every time I see his art, I just have to stop and I just have to look. And I, yeah, no, it is beautiful. It is stunning. It is captivating. It is also horrifying at times. But his art for me really stands out as some of the best in the indie scene.
Most definitely, most definitely. Our next category is going to be Best Main Cover of 2023. Lucas, what was your pick?
So my pick was the cover Swan Songs #1. There was something incredibly eerie yet captivating about this cover. The mother growing from this black patch within the 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 cover, and then these flowers growing out. Once you read the story, it makes so much more sense. The flowers giving her a reason to live at least a little bit longer, but also showing that eventually everything dies with these black lines coming in and going up her face. It's beautiful. It's stunning. It gives you a vibe for what you can expect going in. And yeah, no, a beautiful piece of art. And what about you, Elias? What's your favorite main cover of 2023?
I just wanted to pick something fun, so I picked Immortal Thor #5, a Alex Ross piece. Everybody knows about Alex Ross, but no, this cover is just so much fun. It tells you what you're going to get inside, like no doubt. There's no fluff, no none of that. And it just features very victorious poses from the whole cast of the book that we're going to get at this point. And it's the all new Thor core. So what's there not to like about these characters? We got Storm, we got Beta Ray Bill, we got Jane Foster and Loki, all important characters in Thor's history. And yeah, this is just such an awesome cover, such a fun cover.
Yeah, no, definitely a wonderful cover.
And it includes one of my favorite things when it comes to covers, which is interacting with the title. Tornos is reaching over and starting to envelop the words in his hand. And funnily enough, I didn't realize, but it actually says it. It actually looks like he immortal Thor.
He immortal Thor though.
He immortal Thor. But yeah, just a fun cover.
Yeah. Next up, the category that we have next is best single panel or page. Elias, what is your favorite panel or page of this year?
I, of course, had to pick this double page spread from the first issue of Dracula. This is just the title page of Dracula, but it's such a beautiful layout. Lucas will throw it up here, but yeah, Universal Pictures and Skybound present Dracula, and it is just a beautiful layout. Really using not a lot of colors, but has so much depth to it. Dracula, and he's just surrounded by a bunch of bats, and it looks like this is a creature that he can possibly morph into on his left there. But yeah, it really sets a tone for the book for me, and just is a beautiful composition. Draws your eye from the left to the right, keeps your eye moving. So yeah, great 2-page spread.
Yeah, no, wonderful, wonderful visual storytelling that really gets you into what you're going to get, which is a mystical, horrifying version of Dracula that is not going to be light on blood, to say the least.
Right. What is your pick for this category?
So for me, I have to choose Swan Songs, issue number 5. There was a panel um, drawn by Alex Ekman Lawn, um, and this panel sent shivers down my spine when I read it. The entire story is about this man traveling through his own psyche, basically trying to find his inner child and trying to be happy again. And you see him deconstruct slowly. And then you hit this point, and there's just always something horrifying about seeing the human body basically broken down. And this really captures that for me. Him yelling, who am I? Um, as his body further devolves was genuinely terrifying for me. Um, few panels have caught me off guard like this, and Alec really killed it with this single issue.
Yeah, this is an amazing issue, and a lot of great collage style art like this within. But yeah, this page is definitely a highlight.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on, we're going to be heading into our final batch of stuff, which is our favorite books, period. Um, let's get right into this.
So we're gonna do favorite Marvel book, favorite DC book, and favorite indie book of the year. So Lucas, what are your 3 picks there?
So for Marvel, it's got to be Red Goblin, a phenomenal series that really stood out. Normie Osborn, never would have thought I would have liked him as a character. Super interesting, super fun. Red Goblin was a book that I had no expectations for. If anything, I expected it to be awful, and it turned out to be the exact opposite and one of the strongest Marvel books of the year. For DC, I had GCPD Blue Wall. Wonderful commentary, beautifully written, discussing about the Gotham City Police Department and the racism, the inequality, and the severe lack of oversight that department really suffers from. And then finally, my favorite indie book this year was Knights, a heartwarming tale about coming of age within this weird and wacky supernatural world in the early 2000s. But yeah, no, those three books really stood out for me this year. I really did enjoy them.
Very
What about
nice.
you, Elias? What's your favorite Marvel, DC, and indie books?
So for favorite Marvel book, I had to pick Invincible Iron Man. This series has been very consistent, and I think it does a great job of advancing Tony's character and bringing him to a new and interesting place. Dealing with a new batch of guilt after he's been framed for the murder of his apartment neighbors. And but it also ties him into a greater issue, which is the fall of X. So yeah, this is definitely what I want from a Marvel book. I want a refreshing take on an old character, and I want to see him progress and evolve as a character as it goes. So Invincible Iron Man for me. Um, Fave DC book, of course, World's Finest. Like I said, super consistent, but there's no book that I trust so much. I know that I'm always going to have a good time reading this book. It doesn't have to be a super heavy, concept either. It can just be a great battle, a battle we haven't seen before, a mashup of characters you haven't seen before. So yeah, this book never fails to disappoint, and for that reason, it's got to be my favorite DC book. And finally, favorite indie book, Rare Flavors, no doubt. Like I said, super refreshing take. Um, Thriller meets um, cookbook
Yeah,
meets
historic cookbook.
meets horror. So yeah, very very interesting, and got to be my favorite indie book for sure.
Yeah. Next up, we have our top five comic series of 2023. Yeah, Elias, give them off, list them all off, discuss about them a little bit. But yeah, what is your top five?
So I did order this. For me, I have Riddler Year One. Um, what else can I say about this book? Something really cool is Paul Dano actually did some writing in this book, like physical writing, to really exhibit Edward's fall into madness. He wrote like a lot of words repeatedly, repeatedly over again in pencil, and they scanned those and put those into the book. Um, just stuff where, again, you can tell that the creators really care about this book. I'm glad that Paul had the chance to do this, and he really proves himself. Um, he's a wonderful actor, but also clearly, he's shown that he can write. So, Riddler Year One, an amazing insight into Ed's psyche and beautiful art, um, no doubt. Second, I had Chroma, which did finish this year. A beautiful indie book, um, all about, I would say, color. I think color is really the main thing, the main concept behind this book. Um, so yeah, beautiful indie book. Third, I have Rare Flavors. Fourth, I have World's Finest. And fifth, I have Unstoppable Doom Patrol. I wanted to shout this series out. It started and ended this year, and I thought it was perfect Doom Patrol series, just what I want. I want wacky concepts. I want these characters to be included. I want character development, and I think it was just the perfect Doom Patrol series, ideal Doom Patrol series, and yeah, that was just a blast. Those are my top five of 2023. Lucas, what were your top five?
So my top five. First one has to go to Superman Space Age, a book I really didn't expect to love as much as I did. Three issues, each one like 90 pages each, so pretty hefty. But man, what a phenomenal series! It basically follows Superman since um, it's basically Superman if he kept aging since he was created, and we see him get to the space age where basically he has been told by Pariah that the Earth is going to end in 1980 or 1960. I forgot which specific year, but basically Superman's trying to come to terms with that while also trying to build the Justice League, build the world as we know it. Batman is becoming a thing, Lex Luthor is becoming a thing, Green Lantern, all these different characters, and it's basically the DC universe if it was built in real time. And it's wonderful, wonderful story. Definitely a love letter, a love letter to all those characters. After that was Swan Songs, which even if one issue really didn't hit for me, this series was phenomenal. Um, it always had an interesting concept, always had interesting ideas. The format could be endlessly reproduced. You could go on for hundreds of issues and still not run out of ideas for the series. Um, Having each artist kind of tagged with W. Maxwell Prince and him kind of crafting the story around their art style instead of vice versa was phenomenal. Every artist felt like they were being heard to, like having their strengths put forward. And yeah, no, what a phenomenal series. Highly recommend you pick it up. After that was Chroma, which Chroma, we've already talked enough. If you haven't picked it up, if you haven't been convinced to read this yet, you are missing out sorely because it is easily one of the best books to come out in recent memory. And after that was Knights, which I've already talked about, and GCPD, The Blue Wall, is my favorite series to come out of 2023. Um, Beautiful, heart wrenching, really will make you contemplate, is there any good within the city of Gotham?
Very nice. And finally, um, we saved the little bit of negativity for last. Um, what was the worst series or the worst comic of 2023, Lucas?
For me, we made a whole rant video about it, but it has to be Amazing Spider-Man number 26. Never has an issue felt as disrespectful to people as that single issue. Um, I don't care if it was supposed to just reboot her. The death of Miss Marvel could have been handled a million times better, done way more significance instead of being shoved into a Spider-Man book with a character that she barely even knows. Um, whether it had been done with Miles or the Champions or any of those other characters, it would have been done better. But Zeb Wells basically used her and threw her out like trash.
And for me, the worst comic of this year or worst series was Death of Venomverse. Never has a series felt so aimless and pointless. Um, Having such a huge ramp up of Carnage's powers all throughout his own series, only to hit this point and then just stagnate. Really just took all the weight out of Carnage's evolution for me. When the Carnage series ended, I expected him to just get straight to killing Eddie or whatever he wanted to do. But then this just felt like a waste of time. It was just like kind of a silly battle between him and other Venoms. And, not only am I symbioted out at this point, but I'm also multiversed out.
Cletus
So,
out.
yeah. So this was just a bad mixture of stuff for me. I really did not care for the art on this. And the need to throw in backup stories on an already big event book was just so frustrating. Um, Not to mention the Kid Venom story getting like 2 pages every issue to get just compiled later. Stupid. But yeah, the whole Carnage like overcoming his weakness thing, I get that, but this just took too long for me, and I wanted to see him confront Eddie in this series. I thought this was going to be the culmination of this this arc for Carnage. But no, he is now getting another volume that you got to read if you want to find out what's going to happen. And spoiler, it's not good. So this new series is going to keep dragging out this Carnage arc. So yeah, for me, that was the worst series of this year.
As soon as RMV left the Carnage book, you could really feel that they lost all the oversight and plan that they had.
Yeah,
Because you could tell he was culminating to the point where it was going to be King of Black, King and Black Eddie versus King and Red Carnage,
right.
and we have not gotten that.
And I'm not
Um,
even gonna start talking about Venom, but yeah, he's not ready to fight Carnage. But yeah, that's just the one negative thing that we're gonna have in this this ceremony. We just want to talk about the good shit, So yeah, these have been our Cosmic Awards for 2023. Lucas, any parting words for the folks?
Um, if you say that there's not good comics, there always is. You just got to find them. Remember to always support your local comic shop. Give artists their due. Give writers their due. They work hard. They do um, the work so that we can enjoy it, and they really don't receive the compensation that they should. Um, when your favorite TV show is airing, look up if it's based off of a comic. Read it, watch it, um, and yeah, remember to always try to help out these creators because they're kind of on the bottom of the totem pole, sadly, and they deserve a lot more attention and respect.
Subscribe to these series that you love at your local comic shop. Make sure that that guarantees that they're getting shown love through the distributor. um Guarantee yourself a copy, stuff like that. But yeah, this has been our Cosmic Awards for 2023. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below what books you guys really enjoyed this year, what you maybe didn't like this year. But 2023 was chock full of stuff to read, so there's no doubt about that. Support your local comic shop and read comics, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye bye.